What's up, Packer fans? Welcome back to Cheesehead Talk. It's your boy Tremel coming back with another video. The Green Bay Packers get the win 27-16 over the Denver Broncos in their Week 3 matchup at Lambeau Field, and they improved to 3-0. So let's talk about it. In this game, the offense improved just a little bit. They improved slightly. It's still going to take a little bit more time with this new offensive scheme that Matt LaFleur has implemented with the Green Bay Packers. And our main problem on the offensive side of the ball is we're struggling to convert on third downs. This is the third game in a row where we can't convert on third downs. We went 2 for 9 on third downs in this football game. And we have to fix that. We have to get better at that. And then also, penalties. We had penalties in this game that held us back on the offensive side of the ball. We had 7 penalties for 53 yards. And then the drop passes. Geronimo Allison had a drop in this game. Marquez Valdes-Scantling had a couple of drops. And those are some things that we have to fix on the offensive side of the ball if we want to be one of the top offenses in the league. Like I said, we did improve on the offensive side of the ball just a little bit in this football game. But the question is, how good can this offense be? 5-6 weeks from now, how good will this offense be? Do we have enough weapons at the wide receiver position and even the tight end position? I know it's still early. It's a new offensive system. It's only week 3, and we are sitting at 3-0. But I think we should consider possibly trading for a wide receiver like a Devontae Parker from the Miami Dolphins. He's a guy with great speed, and quarterback play has held him back in his career. And also, I would love the thought of Corey Davis. He played under Coach Matt LaFleur last season when he was the offensive coordinator in Tennessee. And quarterback play has held him back as well. And I think you give Corey Davis a good quarterback, he could be a star in this league. He was the #1 receiver picked out of his draft class for a reason. But the question is, do the Packers lack wide receiver depth? Right now, it's looking like Marquez Valdes-Scantling is our #2 option. And he didn't play bad today. He played pretty decent. But will we be okay with him as our #2 receiver throughout the 2019 season? It's just a thought. But let's take a look at some stats for this Green Bay Packers offense in this game. Aaron Rodgers, he played pretty decent. He did have a couple of overthrows on one drive. He overthrew Robert Tonyan on the sideline on a short pass, and then he also overthrew Geronimo Allison up the middle of the field. And then there was another drive where he had 3 straight throwaways in this football game. But besides those plays, I think Aaron Rodgers played a pretty good football game. He went 17 for 29, 235 yards, 1 touchdown, and a 96.2 passer rating. And he was not sacked one time in this football game. The offensive line did an excellent job in this football game. David Bakhtiari and Brian Bulaga did an excellent job of keeping Bradley Chubb and Von Miller from touching Aaron Rodgers in this football game. And also, Elton Jenkins, it was his first start of his career. He did a pretty good job. Corey Linsley did a good job, and Billy Turner did a good job against his former team. So the offensive line played excellent in this football game. Now you look at the run game. It was a pretty good day for Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams looked very good in this football game. He had 12 carries for 59 yards. And then Aaron Jones, he had a tough day running the football. He had 10 carries for only 19 yards, and he did have a touchdown. Now you take a look at the receiving game. Marquez Valdes-Scantling led the way with 6 catches for 99 yards and 1 touchdown. Now he did have a couple of drops in this game, but I think he played pretty decent today. And then our second leading receiver was Devontae Adams. He was matched up against Chris Harris Jr. That was a pretty good matchup. And he did pretty well. He had 5 catches on 5 targets for 57 yards. And he still hasn't gotten the end zone yet. It's been 3 weeks and he doesn't have a touchdown yet. And that's very rare for Devontae Adams. We got to get him in the end zone in this upcoming game. Also, Danny Vitale, he had a catch. I was super excited to see him get in the receiving game. I've been waiting on this for weeks, and we finally did it in week 3. He had a huge catch for 27 yards, and he almost scored a touchdown. He got stopped right at the 1-yard line. And then Jamal Williams pitched in with 2 catches for 27 yards. He had a very good day, receiving and rushing. And then Mercedes Lewis pitched in with one catch for 19 yards. Robert Tonyan had one catch for 4 yards. And Aaron Jones had one catch for 4 yards as well. My grade for the offense in this game, I give it a C plus. We improved just a little bit from that Minnesota game last week and from the Chicago game in week 1. We're improving slowly but surely. And the reason I give it a C plus today is because of the drops, the penalties, and then not being able to convert on third down. The run game really wasn't going with Aaron Jones, and we faced a lot of third and long situations in this game. And that's something that we have to fix in the future. So I give it a C plus in this football game. And now let's talk about the defense. On the defensive side of the football, the Packers had another good performance on the defensive side of the football. And the reason why I say it was a good performance in this game is because they forced turnovers. That's something that they couldn't do last season. They forced 3 turnovers in this football game, and that was the biggest part of the game. If they didn't force those turnovers, it would have been a completely different game. Last season, the Packers only had 11 takeaways in 16 games. 11 takeaways. That's absolutely ridiculous. And now in the first 3 games of the 2019 season, this Green Bay Packers defense has 8 takeaways. So we're much better in the takeaway category, and we're a much different defense than we were last season. But the defense still has a little bit of work to do, and I'm going to talk about that shortly. But it was a good performance from the defense. And let's look at some stats for the Denver Broncos offense in this football game. Joe Flacco led the way for the Denver Broncos. He went 20 for 29, 213 yards, 1 interception, and a 29.3 passer rating. And he was also sacked 6 times in this football game. The Green Bay Packers continue to get pressure on the quarterbacks, and they had a monster game at rushing the passer in this game. 6 sacks. And the Sack Smith bros were excellent in this football game. Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith, monster games. Preston Smith had a monster game. 3 sacks in this game. Zadarius Smith, 2 sacks. And then the rookie, Rashawn Gary, he got his first sack of the season. He had 1 sack in this football game. So that outside linebacker core really got after the quarterback. They accounted for all of Green Bay's sacks in this football game. So they did an excellent job of getting after Joe Flacco in this football game, just like I expected. Now, what we struggled at was the run game. We could not stop the run for anything. The run defense in this game was terrible. I'm going to be honest. It was terrible in this football game. We have a lot of work to do in that area. And this is what kept Denver on the field. They got a lot of third and short situations because they were able to run the football effectively. Consistently, they were getting 4 to 5 yards on every single rushing play. Now, when you look at the box score and you look at the Denver Broncos rushing attack, the numbers don't look that bad, but this Green Bay Packers rushing defense was terrible in this game. Phillip Lindsay, he had 21 carries for 81 yards, and Royce Freeman had 15 carries for 63 yards. Green Bay has to fix their rushing defense, especially coming up in week 5 when we face the Dallas Cowboys. That's a football team who loves to run the football. And if our run defense plays like they did against Denver when we played the Dallas Cowboys, then the Dallas Cowboys are going to have a field day running the football against us in week 5. So I think we need to clean that up. And then also, Denver had a lot of long drives. It was several occasions where they drove down the field and they controlled the clock in this football game. They won the time of possession. It wasn't even close. They had the football for 35 minutes and 34 seconds to Green Bay's 24 minutes and 26 seconds. And also, the Green Bay Packers had trouble stopping the Denver Broncos on third downs. Like I mentioned earlier, the Denver Broncos had a lot of third and short situations because they were running the football very effectively. The Denver Broncos went 8 of 15 on third downs in this game. And like I said earlier, if we didn't force turnovers, this would have been a whole different game because that Denver Broncos team was driving down the field on several occasions. They got the run game going, and then in the passing game, they were able to dink and dunk their way down the football field. Let's take a look at the wide receiver stats for the Denver Broncos in this game. Cortland Sutton led the way for the Denver Broncos in the receiving game. He had 5 catches for 87 yards, and he played very well. He had his way with Kevin King in this one. He absolutely torched Kevin King. Kevin King looked terrible in this football game. He was getting beat deep. He was getting turned all the way around, and he was missing tackles. He did finish the game with 9 tackles, but that was a misleading stat for Kevin King. He really did look bad in this football game, and I expect him to bounce back in our next football game on Thursday night against the Philadelphia Eagles. And the second leading receiver for the Denver Broncos was Philip Lindsay. He had 5 catches for 49 yards, and he really just had one big catch in this football game, and that was because of a missed tackle by Kevin King. They dumped it out to Philip Lindsay in the flat, and Kevin King ran up on him full speed and just completely missed him, and Philip Lindsay took it for a huge gain. And that's where most of his yardage came from in the receiving game. The third leading receiver for the Broncos was Noah Fant. He had 3 catches for 37 yards. Jeff Heuerman had 2 catches for 20 yards. Emmanuel Sanders had a quiet day. He only had 2 catches for 20 yards. Jair Alexander did an excellent job covering Emmanuel Sanders in this game. And then Royce Freeman chipped in with 2 catches for 10 yards. Now, let's talk about the guys on this Packers defense who had monster games. As I mentioned earlier, the Sack Smith bros, Sack Smith Avenue. Those guys had monster games. Preston Smith, 5 tackles, 3 sacks, a forced fumble. Zadarius Smith, 3 tackles, 3 quarterback hits, 2 sacks. Jair Alexander was excellent in this football game. 7 tackles, 2 pass breakups, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. And Jair Alexander is on pace to be a Pro Bowler in 2019. And if he can get some interceptions, then he'll be an All-Pro for the 2019 season. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Jair Alexander. He's really going to be a superstar in this league. Also, Darnell Savage had a monster game. He had 5 tackles, and he also recorded his first career interception. Many more to come for that guy, so congratulations to Darnell Savage. And also, our number 1 pick in the 2019 draft, the other first-round pick, Rashawn Gary. He had a big game. He had 5 tackles. He got his first career sack. Hopefully, it's many more to come for him. And also, he had a fumble recovery in this game. And he was getting after the quarterback on a few plays. So I'm loving what I'm seeing from this Green Bay Packers defense. We still have a little bit of work to do. We got to fix that run game up. And then we got to get these offenses off the field a little bit earlier. But I'm loving what I'm seeing from this defense. And my grade for the Packers defense in this one, I give it a B. The only reason I give it a B is because we forced a lot of turnovers in this game. We forced 3 turnovers in this football game. And like I said earlier, if we didn't force those turnovers, it would have been a completely different game. But we got the victory. We improved to 3-0. We're 2-0 at Lambeau Field. And we have another game coming up on Thursday Night Football. It's a short week. And we play the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a football team who's coming into this game struggling. They're sitting at 1-2. And they just lost their last football game to the Detroit Lions at home in Philadelphia. And the week before that, they lost another rough game to the Atlanta Falcons. So this team is struggling, and they have a lot of injuries on that football team. So we'll see what the injury report is looking like a few days before the game. But that's my recap for the Green Bay Packers versus the Denver Broncos. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on the football game. Let me know what you grade the offense. Let me know what you grade the defense in this game. And also leave a like, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and also follow the social media on Instagram and on Twitter at Cheesehead_talk. Again, that's Cheesehead_talk. Go Pack, go.